So, as we continue our series on can you take your side hustle and turn it into a full-time gig, I have the pleasure of having a gentleman here from Fordham University. And we're going to talk to him when we get back. I'm CLM2 for With Power, the channel that helps find the power within you.
He's giving me power, all power, all power. Where?
Hey, happy Monday, everyone, and we are so happy that you are here today, and we hope you had a fantastic weekend. So today's guest on the show is a very, very powerful young man. He goes by the name of Professor Clarence E. Ball III, and he is the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at Fordham University, Gabelli School of Business. And we had the pleasure of interviewing him to talk about entrepreneurship. He is a gentleman that has taken what he's been doing on his 9-to-5 and actually created his own company out of what he's been doing, and has been doing both of those over the last 4 to 5 years. So let's take a look. Hey, so as I continue my series on why haven't you started your own business, I have the pleasure of having a young, up-and-coming professional here with me, a young guy by the name of Professor Clarence E. Ball III, and he is the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at Fordham University's Gabelli School of Business. And Clarence, I'd just like to thank you for joining me. I know this was kind of a short notice, but once again, you came through, so I want to thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And so now, how I know of Clarence, Professor Ball, is he actually is an usher at one of the most prestigious churches in the nation, Abyssinian Baptist Church in Harlem. I've been a member there for 25 years, and Clarence is an usher there. So when he was being introduced by the pastor, Dr. Calvin Obust III was introducing him and was saying that he was in the business, I was like, I have to get to know this young man, and I have to bring him on the show to talk about business and why it's important for individuals to start their own business. Clarence actually has his own business along with his 9-to-5 job. He has a consulting company, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. So once again, thank you, Clarence. So Clarence, let's go back. Let's start from the beginning. Just give us a little bit of your background and how you even came to Fordham University.
Excellent. Well, thank you again for the invitation. My background, I'm a HBCU educated brother. I went to Tennessee State University. I was on the speech and debate team there. That was what my scholarship was for. When I left Tennessee State, I went to Michigan State, and I got a master's degree in journalism, primarily broadcast journalism. So a lot about documentary making and other large news packages. I left Michigan State. I went back to my alma mater. I was the director of speech and debate there for about 2 years. And then I got the call from PBS to produce some television for them. At the time, when I was producing television for PBS, I also contracted out of Tennessee State University. So that contract was over. And I was kind of doing some freelance journalism for a while. Heard about Fordham University, and they had a business college that wanted to kind of shore up their communication efforts, particularly because they were educating business college students for competitive jobs in finance, accounting, marketing, strategy, operations, for example, but they didn't really have core communication competencies. And so I accepted the job to do that. And I've been there for about 8 years now. I was tapped 3 years ago to become the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And that has become my passion, of course. And through that work is how we started this MWBE initiative with the Abyssinian Baptist Church.
Okay. So what exactly is your function as Director of Diversity and Inclusion and Equity?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. So It's a big job. It's a lot of moving parts in the sense that there are about 5,000 students across all of our academic programs. We have about 300 full-time faculty and about 70 or 80 adjuncts as well. We've got about 50, 60 people on staff. So my job is to oversee diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives for the undergraduate school, as well as the graduate school, faculty and staff. And I also have work that includes our community partners, like high schools, for example, churches like Abyssinian Baptist Church, and then corporate partners. We've got a range of corporate partners. I won't name them all here, but most of them are relationships with people who are alums of the Gabelli School and give back through their organizations.
Okay, that's fantastic. So I see you also have your own consulting company. So I'm going to assume that the entrepreneurial bug hit you a little while before you even started your consulting company. When did you realize that you were interested in probably starting your own business?
That's an excellent question. I wish it was as linear as you're giving me credit for, but it's been chaotic and all over the place. So it's never worked out like that. So actually, we got a grant from a large communications organization at the School of Business. It's a major cell phone provider. I won't say the name of it. But they gave us this grant to kind of work with high school students and to get them introduced to business curriculum so that they would be energized about majoring in business once they got to college. The grant was co-run by University of Texas at Austin. So we were running this program alongside them. And through that process, I kind of realized that I had a knack for reaching out to this particular demographic of students. I'm talking about students from our communities, right? And then trying to integrate them into predominantly white colleges, which Fordham is. And so from that work, we had a really successful run with the grant. I realized that I really needed to be in the education consulting space. There are a lot of organizations, foundations, companies that have these programs where they're reaching out to people in our community, but there's no executives on those committees to really make sure that the students are coming away with learning goals, coming away with the learning objectives that are intended by the grants and the checks that they are writing. So I started the company primarily doing that, right? If there's a population of Black or Brown students and this company intends for them to learn something, then I come in and design a capstone assignment to make sure that those learning goals are met, right? From there, I then moved into diversity, equity, and inclusion consulting because it dovetails with the promotion that I got at work. So in addition to the education consulting, now I'm also working with corporations, 501c3s, some even religious institutions to kind of get them level set around diversity, equity, and inclusion concepts.
Oh, that's great. So is it just you, or do you have a team of people who work with you?
So with Black-owned businesses, it's normally just you. So it is just me. As of about a month ago, we just got a project manager. So she's going to be overseeing some larger projects, but the major stuff, working directly with the 501c3s and foundations, working directly with the students for the student programming. A lot of that diversity workshops, that's all on me.
Okay. So how did you find your clients when you decided to go solo? How did you find your clients?
Fordham University. I found a lot of the clients through the university. So I'll give you an example. Like I've trained the entire athletics department. So all 500 athletes, right? My job is not actually within the diversity, it's not actually within the athletics department. So even though that's within the university, that's actually an external contract because that's way outside of the scope of my actual work. I've gotten some other clients where the university takes on like a foundation for a grant, and then they bring me in again to design the capstone assignment to make sure that all of the learning goals are met. Beyond the university, through word of mouth, I've been able to, like I said, work with companies, some additional organizations, the CUNY School of Law, for example. So people that are external to Fordham, but through word of mouth, they heard about me and I'm able to take on those clients.
Wow, that's great. So that just shows the importance of doing some networking and you never know who you're going to meet, who may need your services. So is there anyone in your family who has ever been entrepreneurial? I mean, do you come from an entrepreneurial background?
No, no, I do not.
And that's the reason why, I'm sorry to cut you off, but the reason that's important to know is that, there are a lot of people out here who believe that they can't do it because they have no one in their past who's ever done anything like this. So, you're a testament that you don't need to have someone in your family, someone close to you to be entrepreneurial to become entrepreneurial.
Yeah, my mother and my father were not entrepreneurial. They had, regular 9 to 5s. My grandmother, she was a politician, and my grandfather was an educator. He was a superintendent actually, but they didn't actually own businesses. Like they were, they did some other stuff. And I don't know that if they had, it would be beneficial. So if there are any of your listeners who are thinking that because I don't have that legacy, I shouldn't do it, the landscape for how we do business is vastly different, right? For example, all of my diversity workshops last year were virtual, right? A year ago, that would have been unheard of. So because the landscape of business is changing, it might not look like what mom and dad's business look like or what grandpa and grandma businesses looks like. So it's okay to, kind of think of yourself as embarking on a new business journey because so much of the industry is new.
Right. So just kind of give us your sense of why you feel it's important that, we push our young people to start their own businesses.
Yeah, and I didn't say this, but I'm also the president of the business owners ministry at Abyssinian.
I'm sorry, you are.
That's how a lot of this all, got started with the partnership between the university and the church. So I have to say that through the business owners ministry at the church, a lot of the businesses, even the new businesses, are not owned and run by young people. There are people at every age group that are deciding, hey, I think I can do it. And so that's a message to all of your listeners, regardless of your age, that you should be, getting into it if you have the passion for it. The other thing is we've got to circulate the Black dollar. So much of the disparities in our community, the inequities in our community are tied to financial resources. And yet in the community, we have this notion that money is the root of all evil. And I hate to swing it back to the church, but money is not the root of all evil. It is the love of money that is the root of all evil. And the Bible also says that money is a defense. So how can we defend our communities? How can we defend our families if we don't have the economic resources to kind of ward off some of the racial inequities that are plaguing our community? So we really do need to circulate the Black dollar. We need to support Black businesses, and we need Black businesses to be collecting the kind of consumer data that would make them better servers of the community.
Yeah. Well said. And I apologize for not mentioning the business owners ministry because absolutely listen, we're both in the same church. That's big. So just kind of, tell us a little bit about, some of your experience in being a part of the business owners ministry and now, running the business owners ministry. Tell us, how did you get involved with that and how have it evolved over the years?
Yeah, so there's a legacy for the business owners ministry at Abyssinian that's a little that's long, put it that way. So the ministry, maybe going back 10 years or so ago, was a really robust entity. They since discontinued it, and as the new president, I'm the one kind of resurrecting the ministry. Okay. So there's been a lot of work around that because people in the church. We got to tell them that the business owners ministry is there. We've got to get an active Rolodex for all of the businesses within the church so that all of our parishioners can work with these organizations. We've got to figure out a way to rate or to vet those businesses so that the people in the church are not doing business with businesses that are not, don't have their best interest at heart, for example. Right. But as far as the university is concerned, there's a group of students. They started an organization that's called Consult Your Community. and it is a satellite for an organization that started at Stanford University. So we just got a satellite at Fordham, and I'm excited about it. These students actually offer pro bono business services to women and minority-owned businesses. So for free,
Wow.
absolutely free. They're working with businesses. I'll shout out a few of them. Gabrielle Baker Art, our first business through the church and also with the university. We've been helping with marketing support, e-commerce. She's got some of her products online for sale now. She's been able to develop a consumer profile for the types of people that are buying her art, and then able to do some storytelling as well, using social media as a platform to do her storytelling. Other services that are offered through this organization at the university, we've been able to partner or to have a new client rather that is the Kente Royale Art Gallery. It's on Adam Clayton Powell, actually right around the corner from the church. I don't know if you've passed it on your way back and forth.
Yeah.
Same thing. We're helping with marketing, getting the word out about the business, making sure that he's got a consumer profile for the types of businesses or the types of artists that he would like to reach out to. And the beautiful thing about all of this is I'm not the 1%. I'm not some fancy entrepreneur making $1 million a year. That's not me. So my organization, my business is actually going through the incubator as well. And I'm doing all of the same work that the other businesses are doing. And it's good because we get to learn together, we get to grow together. And we certainly invite other businesses to kind of embark on that journey with us.
Oh, that sounds great. So, and that's coming through the school.
Yes.
Okay, so you definitely, now, how do we get in contact if a business wants to be incubated? How do they go about it? What's the procedure?
Yeah, so right now the program is through the church. So I don't know if they're gonna like my answer, but come to Abyssinian Baptist Church, become a member of Abyssinian Baptist Church, go through our membership intake. And then if you have a business already, you can, go through the church's business owners ministry and get these pro bono services. Through the university, they do work with small business owners primarily in the Bronx. And so this is an expansion program to get more businesses from Harlem. But my scope is within the church. So if you are a member of the church and you own a business, reach out. You can have my email address. I don't know if you can post it on your channel or something like that.
Yeah, I'll have all the information shown on the video at the bottom. Sure. So we'll have all that stuff at the very end. I'll get that back. I'll get that from you. I have your email. Yeah. So yeah. So let's say a resident of the Bronx though can kind of go through Fordham if they live in the Bronx.
If you own a business in the Bronx, and historically it's been brick and mortar businesses.
Right.
So these are businesses where, say, mom and pop have a restaurant or they've got some paint shop or something like that, right? They've been helping those businesses for maybe about 5 years now, do really simple stuff, right? Like, do you have a website? And most of the businesses don't, right? So you've got to get a website, like how the internet wants to know what you're doing, right? The other thing is we've been helping with compliance. So there's certain state regulations, city regulations that these businesses have to comply to. We've systematized those compliance regulations so that they can kind of do everything that they need to do to continue to operate. Right. We've also been able to offer some clerical services. So if those businesses need someone to kind of systematize how they answer emails because they're doing that regularly or doing it too slow. Same thing with social media, e-commerce, if you have those types of goods and services. So it is available to businesses in the Bronx. And, if you reach out, I can figure out, if you meet the profile to get those services. Mm-hmm.
That's great. Give us an idea of how it's been for you in the 4 years of your consulting business. Just talking about you reaching out to these different businesses, and did you have to do a presentation for some of them to let them know exactly what you can offer them, or was it because of what you were doing at the college, they just automatically seen a need and seen that you can fulfill that need? How did it actually work?
It's a really good question. So for the education consulting, a lot of that has been either word of mouth or people seeing me in action.
Okay.
So if you come to, say, for instance, we have a History Makers program at Fordham. We run that program every summer. They contract me to make sure that the capstone and all of that is appropriate. And we invite a large number of people to come and watch the students in their final capstone pitch proposals. If you come to that showcase and you see these Black and brown students, 14 to 17 years old, stand up with confidence, they've got great posture, they've got good hand gestures, they've got content that is in lock and step with Aristotle's rhetorical principles. You say to yourself, how do these children walk away with that level of understanding in a month, right? And the answer is, I've been doing this for almost 20 years, and I'm happy to give any students, all of the tools that I have. And so I've been able to get clients in that regard. For diversity, equity, and inclusion, it's a growing industry. I think globally the industry is worth $8 billion. But if you talk to people about diversity, equity, and inclusion, many people are lost on it. And so as a person who's becoming an expert in these topics, in the sense that I'm back in school, I'm at the Graduate School of Education at Fordham. So I'm learning about the concepts and the theories that undergird a lot of their empirical data so far. The other thing is, you're asking me, do I do presentations? I normally would submit a proposal. So going back to the Fordham University athletics department, if you say to me, we've got to come up with a training resource for 500 students, then I say, okay, well, I think we've got to start with implicit bias, right? Because sometimes if you go directly into race and race relations, that kind of pulls people back a little bit. So let's start with implicit bias. Let's go from there to difficult conversations. And then let's maybe end on something like critical race theory or intersectionality. And then let's track how we can introduce these topics over time, and then how many students is necessary to train, right? Because you can't do 500 kids all at the same time. So you got to break that up and put the students in the groups and stuff. So a document normally speaks to my ability to do that. And normally those documents come with some sort of bid. And my bids have been competitive because it's just me, so I don't have to pay any staff and everything. So those bids are competitive, and I'm able to get some of those contracts.
That's great. That's great. So yeah, you can do a written presentation, you can do a spoken presentation, and either way, or they can just come and observe, the students and say, hey, how did it happen?
Right. Yeah.
Clarence E. Ball the third. Like, okay, I need to talk to him. So that's great. And it's such a coincidence, because I actually am the debate advisor for a high school program at Bronx Community College also. And I don't know if you ever heard of Upward Bound. You ever heard of Upward Bound program?
Yeah, I have heard of Upward Bound, but I didn't know that you were affiliated. So we've got to talk about that, because that's my passion.
I can see. You know what? Maybe I was trying to get out, but I may have to do a word of mouth and say, I got the replacement for you because this guy's good. I don't know if they can pay you the type of money that you're receiving at other places, but you know what? It's for the kids. And, it's a proud moment, because actually Bronx Community College, they are invited to JSA, debate every year. And I believe we're the only community college that's actually invited.
Good.
JSA, yeah. So that's a proud thing. And then, there's not a lot of people of schools of color at the JSA debate. So it's pretty cool. But listen, this has been a pleasure. I'm happy that I was able to find out about you just by hearing the pastor talk about you, and for what you've told us. You're involved in a lot of things, and I think that it's important for individuals out there to know that whatever your talent is on your 9 to 5, you can transition that into a business, and that's what Clarence E. Ball III has done. He's taken what he's doing 9 to 5 and he's transferred it into a business. And Clarence, what I do is that I talk about, can you take your side hustle and make it a full-time gig? Well, right now you're not doing that, but
trying.
One day you decide to leave the job, probably with the Rolodex that you're creating by doing all of these businesses in your consulting firm, you probably will be able to do that in the future. So
I can't agree or disagree, but I can I can say that that I'm happy that we met, and I hope that from this, other businesses feel free to reach out. And brother to brother, I'm glad that you're involved in some of this same work with our youth as far as helping them do speaking. If you do own a business, or if you don't own a business, one of the most important things is articulating the Black argument. Yeah. And you can't do that without good communication skills. So to hear that that's another passion of yours is beyond good news to me.
That's great. All right, well, thank you very much, Clarence. I really appreciate this. And I'm going to have all of his information in the video on the bottom there, so you'll be able to email him. I'll give you his LinkedIn information also. Is there any other place they can reach you besides email and LinkedIn?
Yeah, we're going to leave my Instagram out of this. So LinkedIn is good, and just reach out on LinkedIn. You can have my email address, all of that.
Okay, that's fine. All right, Clarence E. Ball the third. I like that because I'm Clifford L. Marshall the second, so I always like to use that.
I see.
Thank you again for joining me, and we're gonna definitely talk some more, partner.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me, man. All right.
Well, there you have it. Professor Clarence Ball is doing some big things at Fordham University, but he's giving back to young people. As you can hear, he loves the art of communication. He feels that it's important that we as a people learn to articulate the things that we need to let the world know about us and our culture, and also be able to articulate what we can do to help individuals as we start our own business. Well, I hope you got something out of this, and if you want to get in contact with him, the information will be, of course, in the description on how to contact Professor Ball. Well, there you have it. So don't forget, go download the ebook that I wrote. You can get it right here on my website, and just go there and you can download the free ebook. And if you like the content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're on YouTube. Give me a thumbs up or a like if you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, and I will see you next time.